Good Wednesday, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Conversation Daily News. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. We, of course, have your news headlines coming up on this hump day. We have the truth of the day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich, and in today's entertainment spotlight, you've been part of my conversation with recording artist Nate Gott. Enjoy today's program. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Wednesday headlines. In international news, UN chief says leadership gap undermines global climate efforts. The head of the United Nations says a leadership gap is undermining the world's efforts to curb global warming days before presidents and prime ministers from around the globe gather for a climate summit in Scotland. The UN Secretary General told reporters Tuesday that time is running out to cut greenhouse gas emissions and meet the goal of the 2015 Paris Accord to avert global warming that he said could become an existential threat to humanity. The clock is ticking, he said in New York at the presentation of a UN report highlighting the difference between what scientists say is needed and what countries are doing to reduce the amount of greenhouse gas being pumped into the atmosphere. This is a moment of truth, he said. The emissions gap is a result of a leadership gap, but leaders can still make this turning point to a greener future instead of a tipping point to climate catastrophe. The new report by the UN Environment Program found fresh pledges by governments to cut emissions are raising hopes but aren't strict enough to keep global warming from exceeding 1.5 degrees Celsius by the end of the century. It concluded that recent announcements by dozens of countries to aim for net zero emissions by 2050 could, if fully implemented, limit a global temperature rise to 2.2 degrees Celsius. That's closer, but still above the less stringent target agreed upon in the Paris Climate Accord of capping global warming at 2 degrees Celsius compared to pre-industrial times. In national news, billionaire tax runs into criticism, big Biden plan in flux. The Democrats' idea for a new billionaire's tax to help pay for President Joe Biden's social services and climate change plan has quickly run into criticism as too cumbersome, but party leaders insisted on Tuesday that a deal on Biden's big agenda was still within reach. With the revenue side of the package deeply in flux, the Democrats continue to press for an agreement to show progress before the president departs later this week to global overseas summits. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi told lawmakers during a caucus meeting they were on the verge of something major, transformative, historic, and bigger than anything else ever attempted in Congress, according to a person who requested anonymity to share the private remark. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer opened the Senate with a simple message: we're working to get it done. However, vast differences among Democrats remain over the basic contours of the sweeping proposal and how to pay for it. It's now estimated to total at least $1.75 trillion over 10 years and could still be more. From the White House, Press Secretary Jen Psaki said Biden's preference was to still have a deal in hand before departing, but she acknowledged that might not happen, forcing him to keep working on the package from afar. There are phones on Air Force One and also in Europe, Psaki said to reporters on Tuesday. In the meantime, she downplayed the billionaire's tax as among several tax and revenue options that were being discussed. In more national news, stars stunned by mismanaged set and fatal prop gun shooting. As questions linger about safety protocols on the movie set where Alec Baldwin killed a cinematographer with a prop gun he'd been told was safe, Hollywood professionals say they're baffled by the circumstances and production crews have quickly stepped up safety measures. Jeffrey Wright, who has worked on projects including the James Bond franchise and the upcoming movie The Batman, was acting with a weapon on the set of Westworld when news broke of the shooting Thursday at a New Mexico ranch. We were all pretty shocked, and it informed what we did from that moment on, he said in an interview Sunday at the Newport Beach Film Festival. I don't recall ever being handed a weapon that was not cleared in front of me, meaning chamber open, barrel shown to me, light flashed inside the barrel to make sure that it was cleared, Wright said. Clearly, that was a mismanaged set. In business news, U.S. consumer confidence rebounds in October after 3 declines. U.S. consumer confidence rose in October after 3 straight declines as the public's anxiety about the Delta variant of the coronavirus appear to have abated. The conference board reported Tuesday that its consumer confidence index rose to a reading of 114 in October, up from 110 in September. Consumer spending makes up about 70% of all economic activity in the U.S., so economists pay close attention to the numbers for a better idea of what's to come for the national economy. And finally, in entertainment news, Dune to get sequel with theater-only release set for 2023. Dune isn't done. Legendary Entertainment announced on Tuesday that Dune, which adapts the first half of Frank Herbert's 1965 science fiction epic, will get a sequel. Whether that would be the case had been unanswered throughout the film's release, which was delayed a year by the pandemic and ultimately debuted both in theaters and on HBO Max. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. It's now time for the Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich. Mary Ellen, take it away.
Hi, this is Mary Ellen with your Truth of the Day. Create positive change through the words you choose. You can create a positive change in your life through choosing words that create a positive picture of life. Your tone of voice is also a very important facet of conveying your words correctly. As our society moves forward, language must be examined for any phrases that no longer serve society. Watch your language carefully for phrases like, boys will be boys, boys don't cry, he is a problem child, or she is a problem child, or other phrases that may convey or have a negative effect. Children are especially sensitive to these phrases, and many of us carry these negative scars into our adulthood. Our language is an important area to begin creating any positive change. Your words have a ripple effect as they influence and inspire others. People subconsciously pick up on the way others speak, and without even thinking about it, they too choose to speak differently. Today, choose to create a positive change through the words you say and use. And as always, enjoy the day.
Recording artist Nate Gott is featured in today's Entertainment Spotlight, right here on Conversation Daily News. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with the Entertainment Spotlight. Recording artist Nate Gott joined me recently on Conversations Live, the radio show, to discuss his musical journey. Here's a bit of our conversation. Nate, have you always known that music was something that you wanted to do?
Yes, sir. My family, they were all involved in music. My mom, she wrote a #1 hit song in the early 2000s on the Christian charts. And so just growing up, like both my parents were signed to BMG, and just growing up in that atmosphere, we all would sing together. Both my parents are pastors, so we sing at the church. And it was just a really incredible way that we just shared love for each other. So in coming out of that, I just found my love for music, songwriting, and singing. And when I was about 14, I wrote my first song, and from then on, I knew exactly what I was supposed to do.
Well, I mentioned, I kind of chronicled it here, and I've done it on Conversations Daily News, another show I host for the radio station here in Mississippi. They talking about the process, how I was literally doing what everyone does these days. I was scrolling through, I think I was watching IG stories, and I saw a snippet of your single there. I mean, how has social media helped you, Nate, to be able to get the word out about your music, in particular, this particular single?
Man, it's helped a ton. I got to give credit to my team, Brain Candy Management here in Nashville. They've just been such a blessing in believing in me and helping me manifest the vision that I have for this song and future projects. Man, yeah, social media is an incredible outlet to be able to get the word out. We not only had the Instagram live, thing that you saw, but we also had a ton of other promotions everywhere. Like, we got to actually play on some major big Spotify playlists as well that got us some good exposure. And it's on all streaming sites and, not only on Instagram, but on Facebook. So it's been a major help, man, just being able to put something out and, a snippet and be able to reach to people like you and a lot of other people all around the country and the world. It's honestly just an incredible marketing tool, man. So yeah, it's helped a ton.
Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. We thank you all for tuning in to this edition of Conversations Daily News. But about to get on tomorrow with more news, Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich, and of course your Entertainment Spotlight. Until then, I'm your host Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Daily News today. Let's make it a great one.